Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, November 28th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos where the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol RDHL. Very nice move today. Got the big gap up. And then even after the gap up, the price has continued to grind higher and higher. And in fact, as I speak, the price is attempting to push higher and maybe even go to some new highs here. But that's where the first area comes into play that I want to get mapped out in terms of areas of resistance. And that is going to be at this trend line right here. Now, the nice thing about this trend line is that in theory, the price could never break that trend line, but the price would still be put in higher highs because that trend line does have an upward slope to it. So like I said, over the bigger picture, the price may never break above that area, but that doesn't mean that the price is not put in new highs. That's always the benefit of these sorts of resistance levels that have the, upwards, angle to them. So moving forward, keep an eye on that level. And, if the price can push up through there, then that would just represent that the price is not only staying in an uptrend, but that the momentum within the uptrend is picking up and getting that much stronger. So watch that from a resistance standpoint. For those of you that maybe like to play pullbacks more so, interesting pullback area in terms of areas of support. Right down there at the 86-cent mark. You can see that on three separate occasions, both once, twice, three times right there. Price went down to that area and buyers stepped in each and every time. Does not mean that for sure buyers would step in again. But my point here is that is it plausible? Is it reasonable to think that the price could come down there and then bounce up from there? Yes, that's not guaranteed, but it's certainly plausible. So if you like this price range and you like stocks with a whole lot of volume and good upwards momentum, definitely keep an eye on this one. Next one, BDRX. And what I find interesting about this one is that we have the ability here to draw a pretty well-defined trend line. And by no means am I saying that I'm some sort of special talent or this was a great discovery to draw that trend line. I think a lot of people have drawn that trend line. And I make that comment because when a lot of people are watching the same areas and wondering the same things, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. So like I said in the previous chart, there are no guarantees, but is it plausible to think that if the price can come up here to that trend line and break up through it, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? In my mind, that is certainly a plausible scenario. So if you like to play breakouts and play those potential self-fulfilling prophecies, I definitely keep an eye on that trend line right there, especially if you like these stocks down below $10. Next one, ASST. Nice penny stock here that has a whole lot of life today via the volume and the price the price movement. Now, granted, as I speak right now, the price has pulled back. So, you can't take away from the fact that there is this pullback right now. But that's where things get a little complicated from a presentation standpoint because it's all about perspective. Meaning, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 20 minutes, well, then yes, from that point of view, the chart looks really bad. But assuming you care about the bigger picture point of view, then part of that is conceding, well, yeah, that's fair. The price has pulled back, but I care about the bigger picture. So my question is, well, what was happening before this pullback? And answer that, you would say, well, there is this big upwards move right here, which is now giving me the ability to draw a bull flag pattern. So that's where, is this a good or bad looking chart? It really just depends on your vantage point. But assuming you care about the bigger picture of things, then I would just classify this right now as a bull flag pattern. So if you like penny stocks and you like bull flag patterns, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, AMZN, and I probably should have put this at the other point in the watch list where I talked about that trend line and the self-fulfilling prophecy, because same idea here. But the bigger difference would be, what I would argue, is the fact that it is Amazon and therefore a way more popular stock, which just adds to the whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies. Meaning, yeah, you're going to have a lot of people watching that trend line, but the fact that it's Amazon and a popular stock, you're going to have just that many more people watching it for that reason that it's a popular stock. So popular stock with a well-defined area, you have, again, no guarantees, but that much more, a probability of some sort of potential self-fulfilling prophecy. So keep an eye on that. And then as far as supports are concerned, want to get that into play right there. Change that to green to represent the support. And then to make it a little easier to see as far as a pattern standpoint, let's keep it all one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the upwards move right here. Put the golf hole down here to make it a little bit more visually appealing for you golfers. And this would be a bull pennant pattern. So if you like bull pennants, you like pricier stocks, maybe you like to trade options, then definitely keep an eye on Amazon. Next one here is ticker symbol AMC. And we're at a very important area right now. and this will mean a little bit more to those that have watched the past videos I've done. But this important area has to do with this level right here at 675. And to be fair, the price, after a pretty shaky opening 30 minutes, has done a good job of just staying right above that level. And that level is so important because while I'm not saying this will occur, just for explanation's sake, if the price were to drop down in this area, what is that doing to the price? That is quite literally putting the price right back to this area of the chart where it just was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make very nice bounces and then all of a sudden go right back to where they were, not exactly a sign of a true, genuine, movement. But if the price can show, signs of strength via higher lows, then that would lead to say, okay, yeah, this does have some genuine power. And to be fair, right now, 675 is holding. So when you consider that as an area of a low, and then down here is another area of a low, and you envision those as stair steps, you can see the stair steps are still progressing in the upwards direction. So that's why in my mind, 675 is such an important area, because you want to see if the price is still making progress or if the price is quote unquote going back to where it was. And I have defined going back to where it was as breaking down below and continuing down below that 675 mark. So it's hanging on by the skin of its teeth, but so far it is still showing those signs of progress. In regards to levels of resistance, nothing new here to report. Still all about that purple line right there, the 50-period moving average. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering here later on in the week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. Or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one here, ticker symbol AFRM. Very nice mover today. Pulled back a little bit, but what I like about this pullback is the price has started to level out now, which is always key when you get some sideways movement. And this will mean more to those that have traded for a while. But for those of you that do have a lot of trading experience, I'm sure you've seen stocks that gap up, act strong, and then they start to pull back. But the thing is, they just continue to pull back and continue to pull back, and they just drift right back down into oblivion. But that was not the case here, right? It did pull back, but it leveled out here and is now, as the cherry on top, is now starting to show some upwards movement back to the upside. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that the price is guaranteed to go to new highs, but it does make it a whole lot more reasonable to think that, given that the price is no longer just dropping and dropping and dropping. So on that note, in terms of key levels of support, nothing fancy here, literally just a question of where did the pullback finally stop? And that was essentially right there at 28.50. So keep an eye on 28.50 here as the main area of support. And then in regards to areas of resistance, the level that I'm curious about right here at that area of the $30 mark. So keep a close eye on $30 as that main area of resistance. And maybe I'm trying to fit a square peg through a round hole here, so feel free to disagree at will. But I don't know. So a bull flag pattern in some ways, but either way, however you want to look at it, it's well defined. Key area of support 28.50, key area of resistance right up there at 30. Next one here, NKLA, and once again, this will mean a little bit more to those that have watched past videos, but if you have, hopefully remember me talking about that 95-cent mark as an area of support. And to give credit where credit's due, price did a fantastic job of coming down here, and you can see this morning, went slightly below it, but got back above it, came back down, once again found support at that level, and that level is representing that progress, which is the same general idea of what I talked about with AMC. Price movements with genuine power are not going to go straight up. Nothing goes straight up, but you do want to see those signs of progress. And again, with NKLA, the quote-unquote sign of progress is going to be that 95-cent mark. So from that angle, very good to see. In terms of areas of resistance, nothing new to report. Still all about that pink line there, 200-period moving average, which you can see has a track record of acting as resistance back there. So if this movement can continue, then you'll want to keep a close eye on that from the battleground standpoint. But as far as making progress, so far so good in regards to holding above that 95-cent mark. Next one here, TSLA Tesla. And once again, we'll meet a little bit more to those that have watched past videos. But if you have, then you know that I've been talking about that area right there of resistance at essentially the 239 mark and never hit it exactly today. But I mean, got somewhat close to it right there before getting rejected back down. But the good news is when I say rejected, it's not like it got rejected all the way back down to this area or anything like that. So it did get a bit of a pullback. In fact, in the very near term, you could see the little bull flag pattern has formed there. So you can keep that in mind. But from more of a general standpoint, you can see that right now, just a lot of sideways choppy action. But if the price can push up through that 239 mark, then I don't think it's unreasonable at all to think that the price has a good chance of trying to get back up to that 243.50 mark. On the flip side of things, if the price does roll back over, then you have what seems to be a very sturdy area of support down there at 231. Price has been down there on several occasions and has done a good job holding. But even if the price were to drop down to 231 and break down below it, not that far below there, you have that pink line, the very famous 200 period moving average. But as right now, just basically stuck in a sideways channel pattern. So that's going to be my main question is, how long is the price going to get stuck inside of this channel? Maybe tomorrow it actually breaks to the upside of it. But right now, if you were to push me into a corner and say summarize it quickly, I would say 30-minute time frame, sideways channel pattern, top of the channel resistance 239, bottom of the channel support down there at 231. Next one here, SOFI. Nice movement today, although the level that I believe I've talked about in the past ones, I guess I can't remember that to be sure, but it'll make sense because I've already talked about it in past charts. But right here, that pink line, the 200 period moving average, you can see going all the way back here, it presented a problem as resistance. And then you fast forward to today and this morning, price did get above it temporarily, could not maintain above it, fell back below it. And then you can see try to bounce back upwards and right now is slightly below that area. Does not mean that the price can't break above it, but it does mean that the price is really going to need to bring its A game tomorrow if the price is going to be able to push up through that level and more importantly, stay above it, because the staying above it is the critical part, because right here, the price did push up above it. But when it came to staying above it, that's where it ultimately failed. So same general idea here is that even if the price does get above that pink line, you'll want to then, quickly bring up the question of, okay, fair enough, it's above it, but can it stay above it? Because that'll be very important. If the price does pull back, then you do have this moving average right here, the 50 period moving average, which good to see it get an upward slope to it for a while. You can see right here, it was just a nasty downward slope, but it's leveled off and it's now starting to work its way upwards. So the longer the price can stay above that level, the better that purple line is going to look in and of itself. And then from a much bigger sense, and kind of irrelevant right now, but if there is some sort of violent push all the way to the downside, then right around 657 is an important area of support. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market is going to rise, this one will also rise, and it's a very popular ETF out there. And as of right now, all the levels of resistance I've talked about remain fully intact and didn't even really come close to getting tested, but we still have this area of resistance up here, that trend line. And then for more of the overarching level, you have that up there at the 45.60 mark. But what's more interesting, at least in my opinion, is all about 44, because as I speak, you can see right now, the price is essentially right at that area of support. Now, it's been down there before a couple times today, and it has held. So that'll be the first question in my mind headed into Tuesday. Is this 44 mark going to hold? Is it going to bounce? If the price does fall below it, how nasty could it get? Which is why I want to throw in another area of support, because just in the event the price does break down below there, the next key level that you'd want to watch very closely right there at the 43.75 mark. Is that where the price came down lower, previously on a couple occasions right there. And then if the price breaks down through both those areas, then at that point, I'm not going to say that the bulls have lost control, but it would symbolize that the bears are starting to gain more and more control. But you also want to get too far ahead of yourself, because as of right now, the price is essentially maintaining that $44 mark. But like I said, in my mind, that's where the question mark revolves around these couple areas. Can they hold? Now, if the price does bounce, then, we'll have our answer to that question. And then the question just becomes, can the price get up to these areas and then potentially push through them? But all things considered, a relatively choppy day today. Came up, came back down, but nothing violent in neither direction. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for that free live class. It'll be, like I said, later this week, Thursday, November 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment. Tell me what you traded today. Give me your watch list for tomorrow. But those two things, hitting the like button, leaving a comment, really help out the channel, help out these videos, and I thank you in advance for it. So let me know if you have any questions. Go get signed up for that free class. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.